Hey guys, Ms. Schultz here. I wanted to jump on and go through the process of working through your V.A.S.E paperwork. That is your paperwork for the Visual Art Scholastic Event, and it can feel quite overwhelming. I have all of these papers laid out before me, and if I didn't know what I was doing, I would feel overwhelmed. To be perfectly honest, the teachers feel overwhelmed too because it's a lot. So I want to walk you through each of these and kind of what they mean and give you some peace about that. So first things we want to talk about are the checklists for qualification and criteria. This is a whole page like this, and you might or might not ever see this as a student, but the teachers in the background, we are making sure that your artwork fits all of these little key points. So if you are unsure if it is like the right size or worried about disqualification or whatever, you can ask your teacher for this. Teachers, you can give this to your kiddos. You can print it right off the V.A.S.E website, and it is called the Checklist for Qualification Criteria. And I am not going to read it out to you because it is really long, but all the artwork has to meet this. One of the ones that I will point out that is very, very important is all artwork has to be original. You cannot pull up Pinterest and copy Pinterest. You cannot pull up things off Google and copy Google. Can you be inspired by the artwork that is in the world? Yes, you can, but your creation has to be different than that. And if you are inspired, you have to make sure that you give those artists credit so that the judges can see that you're inspired, but that you did something different. So that is, if you take anything away from this, make sure you're not copying any artwork. So moving on, you are going to have a couple of forms that you have to fill out. This one is pretty easy. It's a lot of words, but it's called the Student Artwork Release Form. This is essentially you saying, hey, I created this artwork. It's mine, but I give V.A.S.E and TAEA permission to display it because it is yours and you have rights to that work. So it gives releases you both your permission and your parents' permission for you to have your artwork displayed at the contest, and if it advances, then it displays at the TAEA conference in the fall, where all of the art teachers from across the state of Texas will get to see it. You have to have this signed and turned in with your paperwork. Very, very important. Do not forget this part. The next thing, you have your V.A.S.E intent and artwork identification form. This is a long worksheet. Basically, your student intent form is another word for it. It is a way for you to write down all of your thoughts and all the things that you kind of went through working through and creating your artwork. But this is what the judges are going to see attached to the back of your artwork and in the digital uploads that we have to do as teachers. So you're like, okay, cool, but how do I answer these? Because they're like big words, and I'm having a hard time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through these and kind of break them down into terminology. So the first question says sources for your artwork. This is just a place for you to document if you did get inspired from Google, and we're only inspired, right? We're not copying, that you are providing access to those resources. So basically you're gonna check that you either worked from one or more photos. Were they original? You have a lot of freedom if you use your own original photos. You can just do whatever you want with them. So that would be my first suggestion, is to get your own photos of things, because then they're yours and you can do with them what you want. You check if you work from sketches. Most of you should have sketches in your planning notes and all of that. Did you work from observation? Did you work from your imagination? These are all questions that should make sense and you only have the answer to, right? Your teacher can't tell you, oh, you did this, because you're the artist. You know what you did or what you didn't do. And then if you did pull reference photos, where you got them, you'll have to print those out, and we will have to put those all in your planning notes. And your sketches as well, your real life sketches will be attached to the back of your artwork, and then you will upload a picture of your reference as a PDF in the email that your teacher is going to send you. So Whenever you are signed up officially, your teacher puts all your information in and the system sends you an email. And in that email, there is a link, and this is where you will work on and do all of these things. So you're not kind of physically doing these, you're going to be typing them up. The next question, student research and application to work. Explain the purpose or message of your artwork or any artist's works or styles that influenced you. Okay, that is a long sentence that's basically saying, why did you do this? It's your why, and who inspired you. So why did you do it and who inspired you? That's only a question that you can answer. So don't go and ask your teacher who inspired you, because that would be an answer only that you have. So that question is your why and your who, okay? Number 3, I'm sorry, on the paper. Execution and technique. What medium or media did you use to produce your artwork, and why did you choose this medium or media? That's a fancy word or a fancy sentence that says, what did you use and why? So what did you use? Paint. Why did you use paint? I've been experimenting with paint and I really wanted to try it out. Or it might be charcoal, or it might be whatever the case may be. But that is just, what did you use and why did you use it, okay? Make sure that you're meeting the words requirements, okay? And just a little tip from experience. These questions, I've had students type these in and then they delete and don't save because they're unable to finish answering them before the end of the class. So if I were you, I would open a Google Sheet and I would answer all these questions in a Google Sheet. And then when you are done and ready with all of them, copy and paste your answers into those little blocks that are provided in the link, and then save it all at once. Don't work directly in there. I've had so many students lose their work. So that's like, I probably should have said that first, but work not directly in there so that you don't lose your answers, and make sure you meet the words requirements. Don't go over, if it says 10 to 100 words, you have to have at least 10 words, and do not go over 100, okay? If you used any digital applications, that means, did you take a picture and edit it, or whatever the case may be? Did you work in Photoshop? Did you work in Canva? All the digital things that you guys have access to now, did you use that? Yes or no? If you did, then what part, and explain it. So that's pretty self-explanatory. How you produce the work, that's just talking more about the media and your technique and your process. So you need to go into detail in what you did. So if you used acrylic paint, don't just put, I used acrylic paint. Put, I used acrylic paint with a palette knife. I worked with thickening the paint and making the texture look realistic, or whatever the case may be. Whatever you did, you need to explain it in detail. And then it is very important that you, in this one where it says explain the most important elements and principles, your elements and principles, you guys, are your key art vocabulary. Line, balance, harmony, movement, all those words that we learned about and spent so much time talking about at the beginning of the school year, you have to include those in there, okay? When you include those in there, make sure you understand why you've included those in there, because the judge in your interview is going to ask you. So make sure that you are ready to answer those questions, okay? So they're moving on. The next question says, aesthetics and critical judgment. Describe the aesthetic and critical decisions you had to make while creating this work, okay? Again, more big fancy words that says, this is really pretty. What did you do to make it pretty? Aesthetics, it means the look, the feel, the vibe, if you will. So you gave this artwork a vibe. How did you give it that vibe? What did you do? What decisions did you make to make it feel happy, sad, emotional? Whatever reaction you are trying to get from the viewer, how did you do that, and why did you do that, okay? And then the last, and this part is really important, personal expression. This is basically, how does it represent your personal view? What is your story? I have had students with average work advance with an amazing story. So make sure that your story is amazing, okay? Even if you created the artwork and it didn't really have a story at first, now that it's done, come up with a story, come up with a reason, come up with something that it means to you, because that can make or break you advancing, okay? Now, Next, also provided on the V.A.S.E website for teachers, if you wanted to print this for your kiddos, is this practice sheet, and there all those questions that we just went through, there's an example paper with the answers there. So it's student examples for you to look at and be like, oh, that's what this meant. So for example, the aesthetics and critical judgment question is worded as this: describe the aesthetic and critical decisions you had made while creating this work and why you made them. Here's the answer that they give as a good example. I needed to lighten some areas and to strengthen the value contrast, and I moved my center of interest over to emphasize the new black areas on the right side of the composition. Nice, concise, using art words. Use art vocabulary. Don't say, I did this because it was cool and I like the way it looked. Okay, that might be true, but use your art vocab. Composition, balance, harmony. Those words that you know, make sure that you're using them, okay? The next thing that you'll be provided is this paper right here. It is basically sentence stems. So if you're stuck, if you don't know what a sentence stem is, it's basically a jump start to answer the question. So for your sources, for example, this sentence stem says, the source of my artwork was blank, and you can fill it in. Samples for answers to questions are, okay, and it leaves the blanks and you just fill in the blank. So it makes it a little more helpful, okay? So backtracking a little bit, I know that it is a lot of paperwork. I know that there's a lot of paperwork, but let's recap the logistics. Your teacher is going to sign you up. You are going to get an email with a link. You're going to click that link and you're going to go in and you are going to take all of those questions and you're going to copy and paste them into a Google Sheet, okay? You're going to work on that Google Sheet and you're going to answer those questions thoroughly. And then when you are done, when you are totally done answering the questions, you are going to make sure you have all your pictures taken properly, your PDFs, all of the things that you have to have and that are required. And your teacher will keep you on track with this. And you're going to go into that link and you're going to upload everything. So your Google Sheet where you typed all your answers, you're going to copy, paste into the right spot, save, okay? Don't forget to click save. And then it's going to shoot you out of the questions and you're going to go in and you're going to upload your PDFs, okay? Your pictures of your artwork, all right? If you're struggling with that, your teacher does have access to upload as well, okay? Last thing I want to talk about is the pictures of your artwork. When you're taking pictures, they need to look like professional pictures. I don't want to see hands. I don't want to see pencils laying beside the artwork. I don't want the artwork to be crooked. I don't want there to be random backgrounds. The best thing for you to do is to set up a nice white background with some good lighting and take your picture, okay? You want to take your picture in a way that highlights it and makes it look amazing, as I'm sure that it is. So those are the key points to working through your V.A.S.E paperwork and how to submit all of the items that you need to do. So good luck. I hope you do amazing, and here we go.